Thoughts on the Breonna Taylor killing? Honest to God, I haven't read much into it. Basically, what I've heard is basically cops broke into her house and killed her while she was like in bed because they went to the wrong house or something. Louisville police officers executing a search warrant used a battering ram to enter the apartment of Breonna Taylor, a 26-year-old African-American emergency room technician. Miss Taylor and her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, had been in bed but got up when they heard a loud banging at the door. After a brief exchange, Mr. Walker fired his gun. The police also fired several shots, striking Miss Taylor at least 8 times. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, shit. Her boyfriend was shooting at the cops? Wait, what the fuck happened? Were there any body cams for this, or... Wait, holy fuck. God damn it. Wait, now this might radically change my understanding of this story. It was a no-knock plainclothes police raid? No. The police have been investigating 2 men they believe were selling drugs out of a house that was far from Miss Taylor's home, but a judge had also sent a warrant allowing the police to search Miss Taylor's residence because the police said they believed one of the 2 men had used her apartment to receive packages. The judge's order was a so-called no-knock warrant, which allowed the police to enter without warning or without identifying as law enforcement. So drugs from the apartment, a lawyer from Mr. Walker said, his mother, as her daughter, had big dreams, planned a life on green. Fuck. Were there body cams? Police said the officers forced entry into the exterior door and were immediately met with gunfire. The officers fired. No body camera footage from the raid? Why? Do they not have body cameras? Oh, this is all sourced. It was also the wrong house? Wait, how was it the wrong house? It sounded like they had a warrant for this one. Do plainclothes usually have body cams? I mean, it seems like at least one person would for a fucking no-knock raid, no? Doesn't that seem like a good idea? Should I plug my mic in a chat? I'm going to bed soon, Doug. I'm leaving in a few minutes. No-knock raids seem really fucking stupid. No-knock raids can be incredibly important. I mean, like, if you know, let's say, for instance, let's say that you're going to a crack house, right? And you know that, like, they've got guns or there might be, like, some fucked up shit going on or whatever. Like, sometimes you want to be able to just fucking break in, get in, hey, put your shit down, fuck off, this is what's going on, okay? Like, you don't want to fucking knock and, like, oh, hey, guys, we're coming or whatever. You don't know if people are going to run. You don't know if people are going to get weapons ready. You don't know, like, no-knock raids can be, like, a legitimate tool, right? Like, depending on... Yeah, it's like rushing a site in CSGO. Do you really think that is worth the risk?
Because I'm putting 100%...
Well, the idea is that if you don't no-knock raid, if you give them time to be ready, there'll be more risk, is the idea. As it currently stands, I would rather some criminals get away than innocent people be murdered in their homes. Maybe if they receive better training, but as it stands, it doesn't seem like they can be trusted. Yeah, sure, but that doesn't really talk to whether or not we should have no-knock raids or not, right? No-knock raids are important for some things. For busting people for, like, drugs or whatever, probably not. Like, a no-knock raid should probably be, like, you think somebody has a firearm and they've got, like, a high probability of, like, firing back. Like, for instance, if you're doing a no-knock raid of a guy that's, like, a drug dealer, that's, like, a suspected murderer, that's known to be armed and dangerous, probably good to know. Probably don't want to knock. Probably don't want to knock on this guy's door and let him know what's up, right? You probably want to just fucking... Oh, yeah, or hostage situations. Yeah, sometimes you just want to go for those, yeah. No-knocks with plain clothes seem really fucked, though. I mean, I imagine it's so that people can't identify you, but I mean, if 8 people or whatever, however many cops are going to a door with a battering ram, seems like that'd be hard anyways. Yeah, I don't know. Do you need a warrant for a hostage situation? There's got to be some times for, like, exemplary situations where you don't need a warrant. Or if you do need a warrant, you, like, call the fucking office and you get one made up, like, instantly. But oh, for human trafficking, a no-knock raid would be really important. Sure, yeah. Wow, Destiny, nice way of justifying murder of innocents in their homes. Hey, dude, you know what, man? If you want somebody to go jerk off how nice or how evil police are, go fucking watch it. Go watch a son. You can do that. If you ever get bored, you can go to Live Leaks or whatever. Watch a few cops getting murdered at police stops for traffic violations. Those videos might like change your view on things a little bit. There's a really interesting one with a cop named Kyle something who gets gunned down by a World War II vet on a stop. You can hear him screaming as the guy is shooting him with his rifle. You hear like the him choking on his blood or whatever, and then the guy walks back to his car and drives off. Not to say that like cops should murder innocent people or whatever, but like yeah, the Vietnam vet, yeah. Like it's like it can be a pretty fucky job. I mean, yeah, I don't know. No knocking for like drugs is really fucking stupid. How is that related to no knock plainclothes raiding though? First of all, when you say plainclothes, as someone else pointed out, they're probably wearing like vests and shit. Okay. Okay, hold on. So I'm curious, okay? Let's say that you get a call, okay? Let's say that you know there's a house where there are multiple people that are known to be armed and dangerous that have warrants for their arrest for violent crimes. Do you think that it's okay to no-knock raid these guys, or do you think you should knock first? Hey, Destiny, please keep not addressing the 8 shots detail. What? It sounds like as soon as the guy shot at the cops, they open fire back. I don't know what more you want me to say about that. What else? It's not like no one is the cops are never going to fire one shot. Of course they open fire. When they open fire, there's going to be dozens of shots flying. Police should tweet at them first. It's okay to no-knock in that situation as long as they don't get the wrong address. I'm sorry, dude. I have to ban you just for being stupid. Like, why are you saying that? Do you think that I think it's good to no-knock raid the wrong address? Like, why do you feel the need to, do you think that I support that? I think you should no-knock the wrong address. What kind of a dumbass fucking comment is that? When my agency serves warrants, our plainclothes officers and detectives are wearing vests with big police patches, and after entering, you're shouting police at the top of your lungs. Destiny, it sounds like the family is saying the cops did not identify themselves as officers. Yeah, that's what the family is saying. I don't know if they did or didn't. I'm not saying that in this particular case, a no-knock raid was good. Like, there should probably be a pretty high bar for doing a no-knock raid, because you're probably, if it's a situation where nobody is violent, you're probably increasing the risk of violence there, right? So you should probably have like a pretty high standard to meet to justify doing a no-knock raid to serve that kind of warrant. But to say that like all of them are bad and you should never no-knock anything seems a little bit brain dead to me. But how would you raise the bar? I feel like it should be up to the judge who signs off. I mean, I imagine it should depend on the offense. Like, at the very least, like, they should have to be like known to be armed or have like had committed prior violent offenses, or for some reason you've got reason to believe that they'll be violent. Like, something like that bar would have to be met. And then if a no-knock raid goes wrong, so are you arguing for no-knock raids, or are you arguing that what happened to Breonna was just? You're banned. You're so fucking stupid, dude. God, I bet you fucking jerk yourself off every night with how fucking virtuous you're. Probably not, actually. You're probably really fucking sad. That's why you go online giving these brain-dead takes. Obviously, an innocent fucking woman getting shot to death in her own fucking house is fucked up. Why the fuck would you think I'm justifying that, right? Why do you think I'm asking 20 times if they had fucking body cams on? And, like, obviously it's fucking stupid to walk into a fucking apartment and just start unloading and killing a woman that is a fucking EMT. That's not even relevant. Her job isn't even relevant. Do you think I'm defending that? Fuck off, loser. Does data exist there to show that no-knock raids are safer for police? I have no idea. But if you're serving no-knock raids on like non-violent drug offenders, my guess would be that no-knocks are probably increasing the levels of violence. That would be my guess. The cops did get shot at. Do you think the cops should be charged? I don't know. It's hard to say. It depends on the specifics of what happened. I don't know. Wow, one anecdote about police killing and the Vietnam vet killing. If you look at the data, being a cop is not one of the most dangerous jobs. I never said it was one of the most dangerous jobs. Just leave. Dude, listen, if you're gonna drop the fucking 2 IQ, like, fucking takes of, like, all cops are evil, blah, just go somewhere else. There's so many, like, equally brain dead lefty channels that you can go watch that are gonna shit on cops all fucking day, okay? Go somewhere else and do it. I don't care. It's boring to me. I got tired of doing that shit when I was 17. I understand a lot of you guys are fucking preteens too, or whatever, and, like, this is your edgy phase in life, and walking around screaming fuck the police constantly, like, empowers you or makes you feel cool or whatever. I'm so too old for those boring ass fucking conversations where I try to show you how good of a person I am by screaming fuck the police over and over again, okay?
Yup.
Don't give a fuck. Isn't presenting charges the way we bring someone to trial specifically to figure out what happened? That people should be charged rather readily and then the details get hashed out in court? We have to have a good reason to charge someone, right? Would you happen to know how easy or difficult it is for officers to get warrants for no-knock raids? Abuse is obviously big. I'm gonna guess it's probably a lot more difficult to get no-knock warrants because they're probably served a lot less often. But that doesn't mean that they're gotten inappropriately, like in cases where you probably don't need them. And it doesn't mean that the bars that we have set for them right now are appropriate. Like, I don't know. But like, I'm of the opinion that almost every drug-related offense in the United States, almost all of the enforcement around that is just dumb as fuck. Wasting prison space on people that fucking smoke weed or sell weed or any type of violent interaction with a non-violent drug offender is a massive fucking waste of my time and money and everything else, and it just destroys so much of this country. It's so fucking stupid. But to, like, strip police of everything is, like, equally brain dead as well. People are like, police should be militarized. Like, they should just walk around with batons. Like, dude, we can all go on fucking Twitter and listen to videos of, like, fucking gang shootings in like, fucking Detroit and Chicago. There's no fucking way if I was a cop, I'd walk down one of those streets with a fucking baton, dude. Like, these motherfuckers have AKs, okay? Fuck off with that shit. That's so stupid, okay? And then people are like, well, in Sweden, dude, in Sweden, there's, like, 17 handguns to share across the entire fucking country. Of course in Sweden, your cops don't have fucking guns. None of your criminals have guns either. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Nobody gives a fuck about you, okay? Nobody cares about your Scandinavian bullshit country. Okay, where you've got fucking ammunition that with the gunpowder is corroding out of the fucking cartridge because it's so old and no one's used your shit. All right, damn, dude. Well, actually, Destiny, in Sweden and Norway, they actually have guns. Okay, it's actually, shut the fuck out of here, you fucking morons. Do you think the relationship between the courts and the departments might tend to get too lenient and friendly, leading to more no-knock warrants being approved without question? Maybe. Maybe there needs to be, like, more third-party oversight. The problem is that cops and judges and people down, like, at the courthouse, all of these people, like, know each other and have relationships with each other, and that shit is probably ripe for abuse, would be my guess. Like, seems to be pretty ripe for abuse. How do you combat that? I don't know, dude. You need some sort of third-party arbitration. It has to be something that's external, that system. Like, you can't expect cops and judges and lawyers and attorney and, like, the DA and everybody that's all, like, friends with each other to adequately police themselves. It's naive to do that. You need some sort of external third-party body that does it. Why do you think that other cops are scared to arrest cops who break the law? Probably because it's like literally every single other corporate environment you work in where you don't want to blow the whistle on anybody else because everybody will fucking hate you for it. This is true of every single job you'll ever work at in your entire life. This is why I say fuck unions and fuck workers. Now, unions are important because you need some balance against, like, capital interest. But, like, the idea that it's going to produce good outcomes for everybody, fuck that shit, dude. Anybody that's worked any job ever in their entire fucking life has gone on to, like, you're the new worker on the job, and you're like, hey, guys, aren't there all these things that we could do better? And everybody looks at you like, who is this motherfucker? Who is this? Shut the fuck up. Keep your head down, motherfucker. Why are you making our job shit for everybody? What's wrong with you? Shut the fuck up and work. Like, this is every job ever. And it's probably true. It's probably definitely true of cops as well. Like, hold a cop accountable, and then everybody gets fucking mad at you and all that shit. This is why you need, like, third parties to come in and, like, moderate this shit. You can't do it. You can't rely on these people to do it. It feels like when the police get some new tools like no-knock raids or civil forfeiture, it just goes insanely off the rails and is so far from original intent. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the solution is maybe defund the police is wrong. Maybe police actually need way more funding, and maybe the bar should be way fucking higher. Like, in my opinion, I think it's crazy that you can be a cop and weigh 300 fucking pounds. How the fuck does that work, right? What in the fuck? I don't know if we need to provide gyms for these people or like what the fuck is how can you motherfucker, if my fucking 9-year-old can outrun you, okay? We have problems, okay? This is not serve and protect, all right? This is sit and eat some donuts. This is unbelievable. I don't know, like I see shit like that and that makes me wonder but people simultaneously will talk about like we need more training for the cops and then we need to defund the police. Like, well, hold on, dude. Training is that's really expensive, my dude. And cop training, from what I've understood, what I've read recently, it seems like training for police officers is like pretty fucking low in the hours in terms of like how many hours these people are actually spent like doing training. I don't know. LOL, aren't you the one bringing out random emotional arguments with some random cop getting shot by a vet? No, all I'm saying is that, like, when you're doing hand-to-hands or when you're dealing with, like, people that could be violent every single day, like, it could be a fairly scary job.
Shut the fuck up, Movement, alright? It's a stupid fucking meme.
Stop.
Destiny, you were talking about beat cops, right? Like, some paper pushers shouldn't have to be in shape. Yeah, I don't. If you're, like, a detective, although even those guys do field work. Don't you acknowledge that increased policing in black communities and poor communities usually has bad outcomes? It usually results in more people in prison, more people in poverty. Shouldn't the solution be to decrease the size of the police force? So this, I don't think decreasing the size of the police force has been shown to work anyway. So the relationship between more police and outcomes is complicated and messy, and you have to specify which outcomes you're talking about. So for instance, when we talk about something like broken windows policing, for instance, my understanding is that like that probably did contribute to some level of decrease in crime. Now, because of other policies we have, it probably also unfairly contributed to a lot of people, especially African Americans, winding up in jail as well, right? We have to find a balance. You know, people point to that Camden, New Jersey story, and they always say these guys did a really good job at reforming their police. As a movement, so people always talk about Camden, but when we actually read about Camden, they didn't actually decrease the size of their police force. They massively expanded it. They just abolished the local city police and massively expanded the county police. They needed more funding for it too. But people always cite this as like an abolish the police example. I think even this political article has it in the title. The city that really did abolish the police. Over the past 2 weeks, Camden has become an example of reform that works, cited in articles, tweets, and on networks shows an example of what can go right. And it's true that the reforms produced real change in the statistics. The excessive use of force rates plummeted, the homicide rate decreased, and new incentives laid the groundwork for a completely new understanding of what it means to be a good cop. You had to change the underlying principles of the way police officers were being trained and taught and the culture in the department, said former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who supported the changes in Camden. The most effective way to do that was to start over. The reforms carry lessons for what it takes to transform the police of any city. They ultimately amounted to nothing less than a reboot of the culture of policing in Camden, changing the way every beat cop in the city did his or her job. And they also required enough political will at the top, all the way to the governor, to survive opposition from police unions and some residents. The case of Camden shows that if there's enough motivation to blow it all up and start over from both the top and bottom, reforming a police force is achievable. But nothing is as simple as it sounds in a tweet. While largely a success story, the overhaul was by no means a clear win for social justice progressives who are driving the police reform debate nationally. The Camden police reform was and remains politically divisive. In part was because union contracts were thrown out, leaving many on the force earning a lower salary and with fewer benefits. And it required very strange bedfellows to succeed. An all-powerful Democratic machine, a Republican governor, conservative budget cutters, and progressive police thinkers all aligned to break an established department and start over. We'll just read all of this. In 2010, Camden hit rock bottom. The city, population of 77,000, was widely considered one of the most dangerous in America. A depopulated former manufacturing center across the Delaware River from Philadelphia, and the home of the first condensed Campbell's soup plant, the city had more than 3,000 abandoned buildings. Almost 40% of residents lived below the poverty line. At one point, the city had 175 open-air drug markets, and 80% of drug arrests were of non-residents, suggesting that out-of-towners were making a stop in Camden just to buy and sell. Violent crime had been high in the city for decades, but it was also about to get worse because the police department was broke. In 2010, Camden, faced with a $14 million budget deficit, laid off half of its police force. Arrests in 2011 fell to almost half of what they had been just 2 years earlier, and burglaries increased by 65%. The murder rate skyrocketed. Eventually, residents largely gave up on calling police for minor crimes. On top of that, the police department had a reputation for bad cops. Of the 37 excessive use of force complaints levied in 2011, not one had been sustained, or clearly proven or disproven, which raised serious red flags about accountability with the executive directors of the ACLU in New Jersey at the time. In 2010, 5 officers in the department were charged with evidence planting, fabrication, and perjury. Later, state and federal courts would go on to overturn the convictions of 88 people who had been arrested and charged by those officers. The idea for dissolving the Camden police force came amid the backdrop of a push by both Governor Christie and Democratic state lawmakers to regionalize city and town services in a new era of government austerity. State Senator Don Norcross, Camden County freeholder Louis Capelli, and Mayor Dana Reed started promoting the idea of dissolving the Camden police force and creating a new county-led force to replace it. The plan also had the support of George Norcross, an insurance executive and Democratic power broker in southern New Jersey, the brother of Don and Christie. A state statute was already on the books allowing counties to create police departments that towns then have the choice to opt into, but the plan would involve busting a union. The city force had already been unionized, but the new county one would not be unionized, at least not at first. The plan, as a result, was met with opposition from the police union, but the state of crime in Camden, coupled with the complete lack of money, dulled Democratic resistance to the proposal overall. There's no alternative. There's no plan B, Democratic City Council President Frank Moran told the New York Times in 2012. It's the only option we have. Without the restrictions of the unions, proponents argued, more cops could be put on the streets of Camden, and hopefully the city's deadly spiral could finally be stopped. Not everyone agreed with the changes, which is highlighting more cops could be put on the streets of Camden. Okay. Not everyone agreed with the changes. A group of Camden residents who saw this as a high-handed intervention submitted a petition to stop the disbandment with the goal of placing the issue on the ballot in 2012. Red and Moran filed a complaint against the residents on the grounds that the petition amounted to an unlawful restraint of legislative power. The case would work its way through New Jersey courts while the city went ahead with the changes. In May of 2013, the Camden City Council approved resolutions that eliminated the city police department and established a new one under county control. The remaining city cops were all laid off and had to reapply to work with the county under far less generous non-union contracts. In a strange legal coda to the whole drama, the case filed by the Camden residents to save their local police department worked its way through New Jersey courts and ultimately ended up in front of the state Supreme Court, which ruled 6-0 in favor of the residents in 2015. But it was too late. The Camden County Police Force had been around for 4 years, and by most accounts, it was already a success. In this case, politics had moved faster than the courts, and, legally or not, the Camden City Police Force was long gone. Those who championed the disbandment of the department say the upheaval was critical to the department's ultimate success. Scott Thompson, the Camden police chief at the time, had locked horns with the police union for years over contracts and virtually any type of managerial decision, he says. I was able to do in 3 days what would normally take me 3 years to do, he said. All of the barriers were removed. I was now driving on a paved road. The most obvious, I love how lefties become huge capitalists and shit on unions when we talk about cops. Because, dude, every issue you're having with a union right now, cop, is the same thing that the private industry has with union workers. Like, it's literally the exact same shit. Not to say that unions are good or bad. Unions have their place for sure, and they serve as an important counterweight to capital interests, because without unions, all you have are laborers that have no bargaining power and capital interests ready to fuck them over. So unions are important, but it's really funny how Republicans love unions when it's cops, and Democrats or lefties hate unions when it's cops. The most obvious change was that the Camden police was now bigger. By cutting salaries, the county was able to hire more officers, increasing the size of the department from 250 to 400 and putting the number of Camden police officers close to what it was before the 2010 budget cuts. But the more important changes went beyond the size of the roster. Thompson, who had been appointed chief in 2008 and oversaw the department through the transition, also used the changes as ways to implement a number of progressive policies. The challenge, he said, was reframing how officers viewed their roles. No longer would officers be the arbitrary decider of what's right and wrong, he said, but rather consider themselves as a facilitator and a convener. In practice, this meant prioritizing resident complaints. According to Thompson, when someone was spoken to in a disrespectful way, that investigation was handled swiftly. The internal metric system for rating an officer's performance was also overhauled. No longer were officers rewarded for the number of tickets they had written or how many arrests they had made. Thompson says his highest priority was working to integrate officers into the fabric of the community. Every couple of months, I get a call from an officer who just asks me, how is everything going in my community or in my neighborhood? Do I feel safe? Is there anything I want to tell them? Things are demonstrably different. This is a quote from Sean Brown. I don't want you to write tickets. I don't want you to lock anybody up. I'm dropping you off on this corner that is crime rates greater than that of Juarez, Mexico, and for the next 12 hours, I don't want you to make an arrest unless it's for an extremely vile offense. Thompson recalls telling his officers, don't call us. We're not coming back to get you until the end of your shift. So if you got to go to the bathroom, you need to make a friend out here. You want to get something to eat? You better find out who the good cook is. Sean Brown, a business owner and native Camden resident, says he had complicated feelings about the department. While he supports the end result, the transition from city-led to county-led force was quick and harsh, and he said he saw good people lose their jobs. But he says he now feels safer in the city than ever before, in part because police actively check in with him on the status of his neighborhood. Every couple of months, I get a call from an officer who just asks me, how's everything going in my neighborhood? Do I feel safe? It's much different. Police officers can now be seen hosting block parties, flipping burgers, and competing in games alongside kids in the neighborhoods. These are the same types of pictures and things that people like Cody get real ass mad about when they see him on Twitter. Another community, the goal is not to kill the police department or eliminate and defund and abolish and get rid of all police. The goal is that police is to acknowledge that police serve an important role. And it's probably good if we get policies to get them back on track. I'll admit, even as a white guy, I fucking hate cops. When I see a cop, I feel bad because the only reason I see a cop behind me is because I'm about to get a fucking ticket. I have never wanted to see a cop my goddamn life, except for way back when I used to live in Omaha. And I remember I called the cops one time because I thought my house was getting broken into. That was the only time I've ever been happy to see the police before. But otherwise, fuck a cop. Okay? This sounds dumb. I think you're wrong. Good contribution. I am right. Keep making accounts, my dude. You're very brave. Abolish the police. Another community-focused initiative is Camden's Scoop and Go policy, a mandate that requires officers to drive gunshot victims to a hospital if waiting for an ambulance would cause a delay. The policy, modeled on a long-standing one in Philadelphia, was put into effect after the outrage over the Ferguson Police Department's handling of Michael Brown's body after a police officer shot him in 2014. The officers left him lying for 4 hours on a Ferguson street after the shooting before his body was taken to a morgue. The changes were not without hurdles. The first year of the new department, for instance, the number of excessive force complaints by police spiked dramatically, but the department implemented a series of reforms to reduce conflicts between officers and residents. Camden was chosen as one of 7 cities by the Police Executive Research Forum, a reform think tank in Washington, D.C., to develop its signature de-escalation training, according to Executive Director Chuck Wexler. Camden soon had proof on video that the training worked in real life. Clips from surveillance and body cam footage in November 2015, which have since spread across YouTube, particularly in police reform circles, show a man walking into a fried chicken shop in Camden, knife in hand. He leaves the shop, thrashing the knife in the air, and is encircled by a group of officers. They walk with the man for several minutes, asking him to drop the knife. They attempt to tase the man and fail, but are ultimately able to tackle him. 18 months before, they would have shot and killed that guy 2 steps out of the store, said Thompson, the former police chief. Last year, the department implemented a use of force guidebook developed with New York University's policing project, which has gotten the seal of approval from both the ACLU and the Fraternal Order of Police. The rules clearly outline when deadly force can be used. Officers are required to intervene if they see another officer violating the rules, and the department can fire any officer who doesn't follow them. According to the department, complaints of excessive use of force have dropped from the range of 35 to 65 a year. Range of 35 to okay, I'm sorry. According to the department, complaints of excessive use of force have dropped from the range of 35 to 65 a year in the first years of the county force to less than 5 today. When former President Barack Obama visited the city back in 2015, he held up Camden's police department as a model for police reform. He called Camden a symbol of promise for the nation, praising the improved relations between the officers and the residents. This city is onto something, he said before a crowd of hundreds, but there are critics who think the reforms have not gone far enough. There are concerns that the department's force does not reflect the community. The department is just ever so slightly majority-minority. Camden is 93% minority, mostly Hispanic, with a large African-American population, according to the most recent census figures. But the police department is nearly half white. Camden police officials agree that things need to change, but say they can do only so much within the current civil service requirements. Those rules require lists of eligible officers to include individuals from all over the state, including from the whiter, wealthier northern parts, thus making the overall talent pool less demographically representative of cities like Camden. Critics also say the department has been less than transparent. In particular, they point to Camden's failure so far to post any data online about after entering into a federal partnership under the Obama administration to track and improve policing. Camden is one of 21 cities selected for the federal program, and it's the only one that hasn't posted any data yet. There's also a high turnover in the police department, according to several people interviewed for this article. It's hard to say that things are changing when you're having a revolving door of officers coming in, said Kevin Barfield, president of the Camden County NAACP chapter. And a lot of them are young. A lot of them are not really familiar with the community with which they serve. On Sunday, a group of activists gathered in Camden to give voice to these concerns and let the public know that they hadn't gotten the full picture a week earlier. Hundreds of protesters walked the streets in the city in the midday June sun, ending their march on the steps of Chief J. Scott Thompson's police department building. President Obama tweeted out Camden has been the poster child for reform across the country. Activist Ainde Merrill yelled into the crowd, say no, he told say no, he told a crowd of hundreds of Black Lives Matter protesters. No, the crowd responded in chorus. The tone of this gathering is markedly different from the one a week earlier. The participants of this protest spoke about the crooked cops and felt the viral photo was merely a feel-good photo op. As Merle stood on the steps of the building, he called out for the police chief Wysocki to stand beside him. I don't know if I'm trying to say that right. We're going to hold everyone accountable. We have to stop being scared of authority figures and really hold them accountable, Merrill said, wearing a loose noose around his neck. He then presented the chief a list of demands, including working to help officers eliminate racial bias in policing, the creation of an independent civilian review board, and recruiting a more diverse force. But what came next suggests why even the toughest critics feel like there is more hope in Camden than there is in other cities. We're going to give credit where credit is due. They said they are already starting to work on the things we listed, Merrill said as he removed the rope from his neck. Today we are loosening the noose and taking it off. There you go. I'm sorry. A lot of people, when they bring up Camden, they always say like, "Oh, Camden got rid of its whole police force," but like it's not. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Destiny. The police are in a different kind of industry, not really led by economics. You can't judge them by the same push-pull of salary and profit that typical industries have. No, but like police unions act in predictable ways. They work to maximize the interests of their union members. That's what every union does. A union works to serve the interests of its members, not the public. Always. That's just something that you should always keep in mind. Editor should have gotten a contract. It sounds like you should have gotten something in writing. It sounds like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's an interesting take there, my fellow communists.